last week, you guys all surprised me, which is not easy to do, with a 30th anniversary from the day I entered treatment. It was actually so cool because it was literally on the exact day, 30 years later, that you guys put together that surprise for me. And so in retrospect, I was thinking, gosh, wouldn't it be cool, because I do have 30 years of knowledge and experience in the field.
Mhm.
If I did a precept a week for the 30 years that I've been in treatment. And then I went, instead of that, I'm 52. So what if I did one a week for a whole year, 52 weeks in a year, uh, so that we have something to talk about for 52 weeks. And so for me, that seemed like the right thing to do. And so I think we're going to kick that off today.
That's awesome. Where do we start? Um, well, you had like a precept in a book you were recently published in, and that book's called The Greatest Lessons I've Learned Being an Entrepreneur, Volume 3. Maybe we start with that. What do you think?
Awesome. I
Uh,
love that.
Start with the precept that you had in there, and that was going all in,
Yeah.
right? And so
100%.
why don't you tell me about what that precept means as a business owner or an entrepreneur going all in?
Yeah, it's interesting. And this is one that I've gone back and forth on throughout the years. And there's, especially in the last, like, say, 4 years, where I became part of like a lot of different business groups or masterminds. I've had different mentors. There's been, more podcasts, just more availability to exposure to different viewpoints around the world than I ever had previously. And one of the big things that people would say to me, they would hear the challenges of running a rehab in California and navigating through all of that and the things that we do to sort of stay here and keep doing what we're doing. And when things can get pretty scary, I've had a lot of people say, well, what's your plan B? This all sounds super good and all that, but what is your backup plan? Like, what are you going to do if, when it fails? And I would always say, I don't really have a backup plan. This is my only plan. And definitely there was opinion about this being perhaps like a wrong way to think about things, because you got to protect yourself and you got to protect others, and you should always have multiple streams of income and multiple businesses to fall back on. And almost like it felt to me almost invalidating because I was only singularly focused on this one thing. But what I came to realize for myself, and this is something that every person needs to come to, is what's true for you. Because what might be true for them and how they work and gives them comfort and stability and that sort of thing isn't always going to be the thing that works best for the next person. And so I realized that's actually one of my superpowers or strengths, is that I am literally all in. Like, I have no plan B. I don't spend my waking hours like developing ways that when this all goes to shit, okay, here's what I'll do instead. Or if that happens, here's what I'm going to do. Instead, I'm consistently just thinking with, okay, well, now and this is got way overused in the pandemic, but it kind of is like what we have to do to survive in this business. What's the pivot? Okay, we got shut down here. Well, what about this? Oh, that didn't happen there. Okay, well, what can we do here? And it's just constantly looking for solutions to continue the purpose that we're doing. And a lot of people just don't have like the stomach or the grit, or they just can't weather the amount of adversity, I guess, that can happen in this kind of business. And it just doesn't give them the comfort that they need in order to feel happy in life. Like, it would stress a lot of people out. So many people tell me, I don't even know how you do what you do. I would be so stressed out if I didn't know how we were going to pay payroll this week, or we're going to do this. I don't know how you do this week after week after week. And for us, and me and you and our whole group, our passion and purpose to help and others overcome addiction and put them on a better path is paramount to all those other things. And so for me, never having a plan B is the best thing that I could be doing for this group. Because if I was spending half my day trying to figure out other shit for me, you, us, I don't think we'd all still be here today.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I really feel how invested you are, in the company and how much it means to you. And I honestly couldn't see you ever being like, oh, this is my backup plan, because you can tell that, every day you're really living and breathing Elevate and its philosophy and, leading from the front. So I think that makes a lot of sense, obviously since I've known you for a while and I know that you've been, uh, going about things that way. Like this is your one planet. I think it gives you an edge too, that
Mm,
other people don't have. They don't, you don't have one foot out, right?
yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you probably saw and heard and were exposed to more of it in the last year or so, because a lot of times I keep the majority of the stuff off of your guys' plates due to, I want you guys to stay focused on what you need to focus on. You guys don't need to be worrying about all this other shit. So I think there's, you've obviously seen a lot, but you've also probably didn't know a lot. And I think a lot more has come out in the last year or two that you're like, holy shit, okay, I see it now.
that's for sure. Yeah, you guys, you've been a little more open with, uh, we call it Team One, about, what the different things going on in the company and stuff like that. I think it's good to know as well. And so yeah, thanks for sharing all that with us. It's been an interesting ride the last couple of years, and
Yes, it has.
we all appreciate you. But so this subject of going all in, uh, and I know you apply it, not just in the business entrepreneur side of your life. I think something important to ask you about is how you apply this sort of thing to just your health and maybe health and fitness. How does this precept show up for you there?
Mm. Yeah. So I've struggled with I'm just going to say weight my whole life. I tried every diet under the sun, moon, and stars. I mean, there's a reason I did meth when I was a teenager. It's because, that was the quick fix to the weight. And a lot of, unfortunately, when I was growing up, there was so much misinformation about diet. And so we would eat things that we thought were the right things, like fat free or, grains or the top of the food pyramid or whatever, the bottom, the biggest part you should eat. There was just a lot of misinformation. So although I was doing all the quote unquote right things, I didn't see tremendous success. As well as a lot of them were I mean, shoot, I was even on like this HGC diet where it was like 600 calories a day. And if you plateaued, you had a day of just eating apples, which is disgusting. Like they end up being so sweet. And so like I just went through like I look at what I went through and a lot of times I would get very close to goal weight and then it was like, oh, thank gosh, now I can go to eating normally. But that wouldn't work, partially because the food is just so crappy in the process and the inflammation and all that. And then I would go right back up. And then with that goes all of your self-esteem and the discipline. Unless I just live this life of sacrifice, I'm never going to have the body or the health that I truly need or want. Same would go with exercise. I try for a while, I would get bored of it, and then I would take some time off, and it's hard to motivate going back in.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I did 75 hard for the first time, And the premise of that program is zero cheats. Like it's 75 straight days. So that breaks down to like, what is that? 2.5 months of zero cheats. You had to pick a diet and stick to it, drink a gallon of water a day, work out twice a day, read a book, take a picture, all these other things. And it wasn't until I did that with the zero cheats that I finally saw the success. And it actually took me 3 times to do it. Like I failed at day 65 the first time. I thought I worked out outside. I woke up in the morning and realized I didn't. And it's a total accountability thing. Nobody would know different. I could have just said, yeah, I did it. No big deal. I still worked out twice. But in my mind, that's part of the program is the integrity to yourself. I took that day off that I realized I failed, immediately started again the next day, got on it for another couple months. My dog died. I felt just grieving, and it was Christmas time. I took myself off, then immediately got back on it again, did the full 75. But by staying consistent and not having those cheats and not looking forward to those cheats and not having those cheats as a reward for doing the hard work, but having the way I looked and the way I felt as the hard work, I finally got to see for myself what true consistency and truly being all in on something can do for a person's like physical and mental and spiritual health. Like I felt better than ever. I saw the biggest gains. And I no longer wanted to go have a cheat as a reward. I wanted to keep doing more because I could finally see what the benefit was from doing that. And so it's like a whole reprogramming that had to happen in myself, and I see it in others. I love to sort of, when people are struggling, even with alcohol, I'll suggest doing 75 hard because a big part of it is no drinking. And so then you can sort of subtly handle maybe an alcohol problem they may be having, but not realizing they're really having by forcing them to, not forcing, by enticing them to do 75 hard for other reasons, but getting that distance from it for almost 3 months. And as you and I know, 66 days is all you need is to change a habit. So by doing this for 75 days, you've more or less changed your habit. And by going all in on it is where you're going to see the maximum results. I get that with CrossFit. Dude, I see this premise with health and fitness, I see in you almost more than anybody. You and Dana Garnacini, you two are like the epitome of all in when it comes to health and fitness. And you guys blow me out of the water with how good you guys are with that. And I see the results. I mean, you guys crush it in the gym, in life all the time because of that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's what gets results is consistency. And when I heard you explaining how that was a big change, this going all in, it was, yeah, not having that. There's so many people in the health and uh, wellness, health and fitness space who, yeah, kind of say like, yeah, well, you got to have a cheat on the weekends, right? Where you got to be human and that sort of thing. And I think, I think there's a time and place for that. But when somebody's starting out, they really latch on to that. They go a week and then they have a cheat, and then they go another week, and then, you know, they probably fall off track. That cheat sometimes just takes you completely off track. It's hard to get back into the swing of things again. Come Monday, a lot of people, want to cheat on the weekend or whatever, go out to their favorite restaurants and then back to the grind. And
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah,
it's almost like they work so hard all week, sacrificing, working hard just to have that weekend meal and then start back over on day one. And as you and I know, like eating out, you don't know what kind of oils they're putting in the food and the crap. And, even with the more knowledge that we have, not everybody has that knowledge in regards to fitness. And so, I mean, you can count macros all week long, but if you give yourself a break on the weekend, it's almost just like derails all the hard work that you did.
yeah, and I think the program 75 hard is just, it has so many rules, and then there's like, in a good way though, you
Yeah.
know, and it's challenging. Every day is challenging. And there's the hard rule of, if you forget one of these things, you have to start over. There's no gray there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
you miss one of these things, you miss your picture, you
Yeah.
know, what do they call, what's the picture called?
The
Uh,
accountability picture,
accountability
progress picture. Yep.
progress. Yeah, progress picture. You
Oh,
miss
yeah.
that you do everything else. You drink your
Yeah.
gallon of water, you do your 45-minute workout outside, you do your 45-minute workout inside, and you follow the diet that you choose.
And you
And
read the book.
yeah, oh
It
yeah,
has
you
to be
read
personal development.
your 10 pages, right?
Mhm.
But you forget the picture and it's over. You
You're
know,
done.
you're
Yeah.
done. You
Or
can
I've
start
seen
over.
people like they wait to read till, bedtime and they fall asleep while they're reading. Done. Starting
Done.
over. And again, this is just the people who have integrity and accountability to themselves. They will start over. I think there's probably plenty of people who do it who are like, "Ah, it was good enough. It was fine." But then they're sort of living with this like almost like half lie. So like, if we look at how you do one thing is how you do everything, how does that translate into their lives where they're allowing themselves to get away with these little cheats and still continue on?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, consistency is huge
It's huge.
with, yeah, in all areas of life. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think about like the different like like the different weight programs you do. It's like, an 8-week course, right? Or 6 weeks. Like you'll do one thing for a specified amount of time.
yeah,
And that's where you're going to see the maximum results. And I know like trainers can get frustrated. They're like, I see you're doing all the work, but you're not making the gains you can. And it's like, are people being 100% honest? Are they really doing it the way they're supposed to? Are they building in their little cheats that they feel justified on, but it's
mm,
limiting their progress? I can only imagine how frustrating that is for like health and fitness instructors and counselors who are trying so hard for the person, but the person's doing all this little shit to sort of undermine and derail all the shit that the gains they could be getting.
yeah, definitely. Especially, yeah, I mean, what they're eating outside, the gym or is, a huge, maybe more important for if you're trying to change the way you look or
Mm.
position wise. That's yeah, we hear about that a lot in the health and fitness space and even in CrossFit. I mean, I heard somebody did a little Instagram reel about just that exact thing, like nutrition and people struggling to meet the goals that they want to meet. A lot of the time, the the goal in CrossFit, like everyone wants to look good naked, right? That's like that's the goal. Like for a lot of people, you ask them like, we really peel back the layers, and it's like, what do you really want here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
that being
Well,
said,
and it changes. Like when I first started CrossFit, it's like, I'm going to CrossFit because I want to weigh this amount. And then I would be working out, and I'm frustrated. And I'm standing on the scale every day and I don't get it. And I'm doing all the work. And my trainer's like, you know what I want you to do, Angie, when you get home? And I'm like, yes, tell me. Grab that scale, walk it outside, put it behind your tire, and back over it and forward over it like 10 times because that scale does not dictate what your body looks like. And this is where the accountability picture is nice for 75 hard because you don't always see it on the scale, especially when you're adding muscle. Like it doesn't translate pound for pound for what you should think you should like look like or be. And the more muscle you have, you're not going to weigh like your lightest amount. Muscle weighs more. And so it's these weird tricks or like lies that we tell ourselves or just untruths that we don't realize that just mess people up and stall their progress because of dumb shit like that.
yeah, like body weight goals aren't the best. That's for sure. Like
No,
I want to weigh a
unless
certain
it's
amount.
like look good naked. And then who cares how much you weigh if you look good naked?
Yeah, or certain if you're trying to make like a weight class or something for, you know, particular sport, right?
Right.
That,
Yeah.
okay, so you gotta meet your goal there.
Yeah.
All those people are always miserable that are trying to like cut weight for competition or gain weight for this or that. They're not exactly, happy, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
the body weight goal isn't really good from what I've been hearing. I haven't really been fixated on like a specific weight on the scale, but from what I've seen, I think it's yeah, it seems kind of silly almost to say like
Yeah.
to have a certain number in mind. Like you'd be better off focusing on something like performance, like, oh, I want to, or like maybe you want to lift more, you want to like a number, you want to back squat a certain amount. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool. That may actually get you better results than, saying I want to weigh a certain amount. So
Oh, for sure. But again, here's where society really screws you, right? Like with the BMI, like, oh, your height, your age, your BMI should be this. And it's such a ridiculous, like small weight. Like I feel like they came up with these weights in like the 50s where women starved themselves to death. And it's like for years, I was considered obese. And it's because I weighed 145. And it's like, and I had muscle. And I was like, this is obese? Like, really? Then what the fuck is the rest of America like at? Like, holy crap, like you're calling me obese. And it does something to your psyche when you're, trying to be fit and trying to do good. And you think your only metric is that scale. And it's you're feeling good until you step on the scale. And then someone is saying that weight is obese. It's like, it's a challenge out there. I mean, I feel for people who don't have good information and don't have good mentors and coaches and people to get them through, because if they're judging all their success on that scale, they're kind of screwed.
yeah, yeah, just that's definitely kind of it's becoming to be more and more outdated. Just kind of like the recommended amount of vitamins that you should have in a day, or recommended amount of fat and recommended amount of protein. A lot of these things, uh, humanity needs to revisit.
Yeah.
A lot of
We
people are
need
talking. A
good,
lot of people are
accurate
talking.
information out there.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that particular thing too, and as more and more studies come out, more and more science, yeah, you could have quite a bit of muscle and be considered obese, but then there's like all the positive things that having a little more muscle will do for you.
Absolutely.
Like it reduces your chance of Alzheimer's, dementia. I heard somebody talking about that today, and that's like been proven now. If you have more muscle, your chances of these cognitive diseases is dramatically reduced. I don't have the
Yeah.
numbers off the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, and again, this is where going all in on your health and your diet is
yeah,
paramount, because the more cheats or the more leniency you give yourself, the more the harder you have to work to gain those same results. Whereas if you just stayed consistent with the results and the work, you would get maximum results. And then, after you reach a place, I like to call it like homeostasis, where you're like at your ideal, like kind of where I'm at right now. It's amazing. I finally reached like the weight, even though I don't really care about the weight. I've reached the clothing size that I love. I feel good about. I feel good that I look good naked, all those things. And so, maintaining is much easier now for me than it ever used to be. It used to be I was either gaining or losing, but I finally was consistent for so long that I finally achieved, and my body finally went, oh, yeah, this is a good place for you. And it resets and regulates back to where I am. Whereas before, I never stayed consistent enough at that lower weight. And so it would rebound up to what was more like comfortable for it, or what was more familiar. So you really, even after you reach this goal size, weight, body, you got to consistently stay there so that your body starts to know that as your new normal.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we kind of want to be a certain weight, and that weight can look very, very different.
Yeah.
On You could be that weight and have a lot of muscle and be shredded, or you could be that weight and not have a lot of muscle. Uh,
And be skinny fat.
maybe a less ideal body composition.
Yeah.
But yeah. So going all in, I would imagine that this concept has really helped you, as a counselor and as someone in recovery. Tell me about how this concept is played in to your life there.
So one thing, and I think, this is a big premise of Elevate, which differs us from other programs and other modalities, which, specifically AANA, there's almost a built-in like relapse as part of recovery. And that kind of people are sort of taught that early on. And I know from, all the thousands of people that we've put through the Elevate program, it almost gives people an excuse or an out from their sobriety, with that, knowing that there's that. And so, I think we all believe that if you, again, go all in on it and don't give yourself that out, the far better chance you're going to have to succeed. There's going to be a lot more success because you're not consistently looking for the out or looking for the workaround or the thing that is going to do that. And then also likewise, I think we believe if there is a relapse, if that does occur, it's not like starting over. It's not like you lost all that progress. It's not like you're back to round one. Sorry, day one, all that 15 years you had, it's irrelevant. You're back to day one. We don't necessarily buy into that either because we know that that 15 years meant something. It doesn't mean you're back to day one. And so I think it works in sort of both those aspects for sure, especially with the Elevate program.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I remember you saying just the idea of just yeah, being an addict forever.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember you saying something about that too, and
Yeah.
how our philosophy is definitely different in that regard, just in as it relates to labels.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah. So, and again, we just have countless clients that have come to us. So the premise is, like when you go to meetings and you get sober through AA or NA, you say, "Hey, my name is Angie. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. Hey, Angie." And you say that literally the rest of your life. And so you can have somebody who hadn't drank or used in 20 years, and you're still showing up every single day, calling yourself an addict, calling yourself an alcoholic. And you think about limiting beliefs, and it's like, how much can that person really grow when they're consistently sort of pushing themselves down and talking to them the same way today with their 10 years of sobriety as they talk to themselves the first day that they entered treatment. There's like no acknowledgement of like who you used to be. It's almost as if who you still are, even though you're not actively that person. And so, like, the analogy that I like to use is imagine you are, and because we're in health and fitness, imagine you are like obese and you have 100 pounds to lose, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna, like the David Goggins way, I'm going to put that sticky note on my mirror and say, you're a fat ass. You're a fat ass. I mean, there's a lot of validity to sort of calling a spade a spade. It is what it is. Like, you are 100 pounds overweight. You can't candy coat that in any possible way. And so you look at this every day as a reminder of who you are. And then you start losing the weight. And it's like, yeah, but you're still 60 pounds overweight. You're still kind of a fat ass. Okay, good. And so you're still looking at this sticky note every day. Now imagine you get to your goal weight and you have your ideal body that looks great naked, that you feel really good about, but you're still looking at the sticky note saying you're a fat ass. It's not you used to be one. It's like you still are one. Well, then at what point, what does that do to your mentality when you've done the work, you've like done all the things to achieve this huge milestone, but you're still calling yourself a fat ass every single day, even though that's not true. It's not true, but you're still calling yourself that. And again, I think this is where, that labeling, any labeling, can just fuck you up as a person and doesn't let you become the person that you were meant to be, because you're consistently identifying with this label of who you used to be, not who you truly are as a person. And so, like, we've had a ton of people come through our program. Like, for example, I think about Caitlin, who went through 30 different programs before she got to us. And it was that labeling that she just could not get over. Like, don't label me as this. I have this issue, but I am not this issue. And so for a lot of us, that label it does more damage than it does good.
Yeah, I think you having this program that flips the script on that is really helped a lot of people, because there are there's certain hangups that people have in trying to get sober in the most accessible way through 12 steps, going to good old fashioned meetings, coffee and cigarettes, go to a meeting every day until you die, or
Yeah.
or else you're going to die, I mean.
Yeah.
Maybe until you die.
Or both.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, having this kind of outside of the box thinking on recovery is really, been great. It's been great for me, and it's been uh an empowering thing for, all the clients that we've worked with, right? There's so many people that get hung up on that, or how much religion is involved in
Mhm.
recovery. So uh so yeah, thanks for having such a cool program for me to work at, and for all these people to come to, that can be free from that label, and be free from, or just, and having a different modality, a different approach to tackling this terrible thing.
Yeah. Well, and I want our listeners to know we are not anti any other programs. Any program that helps people, we are 100% behind. Like I am grateful and thankful it's saved millions of lives. But let's be honest, the program was developed in like what 1950. The whole 28-day model was actually created around what insurance would pay for. It wasn't a magic number. So a lot of what was part of that program, it's 70 years later. Like we need to update it. We need to come to present time. We need to be innovative and modern and what resonates today. And that's why, again, whether it's AA or NA or our program, if you go all in on the program, you fully surrender to the premise and the help and the handling of the trauma and doing all the things and the working out and the mindfulness, you're going to have success. For
Right.
us, we love Elevate because we know we're handling the body, mind, spirit, emotions, trauma. We're handling all of it. And if a person goes all in on that, absolutely, they are going to be successful. We've seen it for years and years and years. So the encouragement is, I guess, whatever you're doing in whatever way, whatever kind of treatment, unless it's like harmful to you, going all in and giving it your all is the way you're going to be most successful for sure.
Awesome. What a great point. What a great first precept to go
Awesome.
over for your new show.
Absolutely.
Awesome. A lot of takeaways.
It really was, Tom. Yeah, thank you for that.
For sure. Anything else you want to touch on?
I think we nailed it for this first one. I'm excited to see what our next one is.
All right. Well, until then.
Awesome. Peace.